All right, everyone. We just finished the service, and so we're so grateful for you in Montana, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, and California to be joining with us today. So we're going to give you a little 5 to 7 minute kind of recap of the sermon. You can always go onto YouTube and listen to the full sermon, but here's just the recap. So we were talking today about speaking truth without losing love. Last week, Pastor Jason did a really great job of saying sometimes we anchor our lives to the wrong things, and he specifically was pointing out to comfort and how comfort can quite frequently keep us from going to the very people Jesus wants us to go to. This week, we're going to talk about speaking truth without losing love, which is all about maturity. And maturity is all about living an anchored life. So if we're immature, if we are unanchored, the first truth for us at all times is to tell the truth no matter what. Doesn't matter if we're ruining relationships, breaking families, at all costs, with no regard to anything, we tell the truth. But what we've learned is that truth without love is harsh. And on the flip side, love without truth is empty. It's hollow. It's like a cut flower that it's beautiful for a little bit, but it's ultimately not going to live very long. So we want to connect people to the truth instead of just telling people what they want to hear. So we went to two different stories. I want to tell you these stories. First one is in John chapter 8, verses 1 through 11. At dawn, Jesus went to the temple courts where people gathered around him, and he began teaching them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought a woman who was caught in the act of adultery. They made her stand before Jesus and before the whole group, and they said, Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says stone her. What do you say? So they're trying to catch Jesus and find a way of, in a trap and find a way of accusing him. Jesus bent down and he writes in the sand, and they continued to question him. And after a while of bending down and writing in the sand, he stands up and he says, let anyone without sin cast the first stone. Then he stooped down and wrote again. Eventually, everyone went away, oldest to the young. And when they were all gone, it was just Jesus and the woman. Jesus said to the woman, where are those who condemn you? She says, there are none, sir. He says, neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin. So in this particular story, there are three things that Jesus teaches us, that Jesus does that help us learn how to speak truth without losing love. The first thing is that he lowers the temperature. In verse 10, when things are going crazy, he bends down and he writes in the sand. Jesus refuses to match the emotional intensity around her, which it's a reminder that anchored people don't mirror the chaos around them. The second thing that Jesus does is he reframes the room. Verse 7, let anyone without sin cast the first stone. So Jesus is telling the truth about truth. That's how we framed it in the sermon. He's telling the truth about truth. And the truth about God's truth is that it convicts us all equally. It's not just the woman who stands convicted, but it's everyone who's there. They're all convicted by truth. So, anchored truth, real truth, God's truth, it levels the playing field. It's not like different levels of sinner. I'm more um, holy than you, or you're more holy than me, or you have less sin or more sin. It levels the playing field, and truth convicts us all. The third thing he did is he restored dignity before correction. Verses 10 and 11. Neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin. So he refuses condemnation, and he also refuses compromise. So the principle here is that anchored truth sees the person, not just the problem. And anchored people refuse to weaponize other people's sin against them. So Jesus lowers the temperature, reframes the room, restores dignity before correction. Second story is in Mark chapter 10, verses 17 to 22. It's called the rich young ruler. A man runs up to Jesus and he says, good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus says, why do you call me good? No one is good except for God alone. You know the commandments: do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not give false testimony, don't defraud, honor your father and mother. Do all these things, and you shall live. And then the man says, I've kept all those rules since I was a boy. Jesus then looked at him and loved him. And then Jesus says, one thing you lack. Go sell everything you have and give it to the poor. Then you'll have your treasure in heaven. The man's face fell and he went away sad because he had great wealth. So there's three things here that we can learn from the story about how to say the truth, speak truth without losing love. First, Love precedes correction. Verse 21, before Jesus corrected, he looked at him and he loved him. The word for looked here is an intentional gaze. It's when you're like looking at someone fondly. That's how Jesus is looking at this man. He looked at him fondly and he loved him. So number one, love precedes truth. Number two, truth sometimes costs. Verse 21, Jesus tells him, go sell everything you have, give it to the poor, then come follow me. So Jesus doesn't lower the bar to try to keep him happy, to try to keep him around. Jesus names the real issue in his life, which is not morality, it's not rule keeping. It is that he is too attached to his stuff and too attached to his lifestyle. Jesus says, go sell everything, give it to the poor, then come follow me. So we can see here that an anchored person doesn't dilute the truth. It doesn't lower the bar because other people are uncomfortable. The third thing is that we can't control the response. So I'd love to tell you in this story that the man's face didn't fall and he wasn't sad and that he sold everything and gave it to the poor and then they skipped off into the sunset and everything was happy. But that's not what happened here. Verse 22, the man's face fell and he went away sad. Notice Jesus doesn't chase him. He doesn't lower the bar. He doesn't renegotiate truth. He doesn't shame him publicly. Jesus lets him walk away because anchored people can speak truthfully while releasing the results into God's hands. So if you are part of the service, you have the full sermon, but that's kind of the sermon recap. We're so grateful for you. I'm so excited that you're in a home, that you are talking through some questions. I want you to know that you are part of our church, and so anything we could do to pray for you, to serve you, please let us know. We love you guys. Thanks for joining us.